welcome back to the Corner of Craft. Well, welcome back if you've been here before. If it's your first time stopping by, hello. It's nice to meet you. Thank you. You are very welcome in the actual corner of the Corner of Craft, whereas before I was kind of on the wall of the Corner of Craft. This is a knitting and crochet podcast. As I've already said, my name is Hannah, and you can find me across social media as the Corner of Craft in most places. I use Instagram the most. All links can be found in the description box below. I'm coming at you today from a gloriously sunny Nottingham. The weather is not meant to stay like that, but I make the most of it by sitting inside and looking out of a window. Today I'm wearing my Skating Head t-shirt that says knit and purl can change the world. And then I am coordinating with my sock head hat, which is knit out of Truly Hooked in God Save the Queen, because it's got the neon yellow and the pink, and I was like, I'll coordinate. And then I've gone extremely heavy on the makeup today because I can. We have a couple of FOs, one almost hoe and a few whips today. We have one stash enhancement, one frog. Good times all round, I think. And then we've got some beautiful new things going in the shop, which is very exciting. I have forgotten where I put my, oh, they're just there. I'd forgotten where I put my stitch markers. They're just there. I have a cup of tea, precariously balanced, just here. I suppose I could shoot it like this and it's a bit more of a pleasant angle, but I want to be the centre of attention as always. So, shall we start with finished things? Because if I start with works in progress, then you will already know what I finished. So the first finished thing, don't spill my tea all over my yarn stash. My first finished thing is Mario's tie that I have knit him for our wedding, which is now less than 30 days away. It's coming up quite quickly, but yes, it is the Rye tie, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. It was meant to be knit out of worsted weight yarn, but I wanted to, come on, focus. There's a problem with having an exciting background. There we go. But I wanted to use yarn that I've dyed, and I don't stock worsted, I stock DK. So I've added 4 extra stitches onto it to eke it out a bit more, make it a bit wider, and it's all blocked in its beauty. This is Chromatic Yarns, which is my own hand-dyed yarn company. I also have, I am the Corner of Craft as a business, but I dye yarn under the umbrella Chromatic Yarns because it's Dungeons and Dragons inspired. This colourway does not yet have a name because it has not yet been in the shop, but it is a gorgeous deep blackberry-ish colour. And yes, I thought the Rye tie was very fitting to knit Mario, seeing as he's now a baker, or he is a baker, so, and he uses rye flour quite a lot. And it's got a central double decrease down the middle. It's a very easy pattern to knit. I mentioned last time that the yarn overs at the side were meant to be a selvage edge that you then can fold down and sew. I tried to do that, and I started to do that, and it just looked messy. So I don't think it looks that bad, plus no one's going to be looking that closely. My mum's knitting the best men's ties because F that, if I'm going to be knitting 3 ties. And my mum has done it where she's done her yarn overs she felt were too loopy. So she's done the yarn over, then knit through the back loop of the yarn over to bring it in again, which obviously works. But yes, so this is done, and my wedding knitting is done, except for if I want to knit myself a pair of socks that I've dyed yarn to match these. But we'll see if I get that done. I've got other priorities. So the next thing I have finished is Mario's socks, his wedding socks. I will put them on a sock blocker, but I don't know how useful that will be because these sock blockers fit my feet and his feet are 4 sizes bigger. For such a short guy. It's a lot of sock knitting. do one. It kind of worked, but it's got a baggy toe. You'll just have to, and heel. You'll just have to forgive that. So these socks are knit out of chromatic yarns as well. This is the Rage colourway on my sturdy sock base, which is 75% superwash Blueface Leicester, 25% nylon, nice and hard wearing. Rage is a feat or a feature that a barbarian in Dungeons and Dragons has, where they get super angry and then they just don't take as much damage from things, which is amazing and very useful. I miss my barbarian days. But yes, I have two of these. I use 2.5mm needles. I cast on 72 stitches for Mario's sock. I did 15 rounds of 2x2 rib, and then I did 3x1 rib for the body of the sock. I did a New Depths heel, which is my favourite heel pattern to knit. That's by Becky Sorensen, who is Soprano Knits and my BFF. And I increased only by 4 stitches for the heel. I usually only increase by 2, but I think I got a bit overzealous. But these are finally done, and the second sock has quite a few mistakes in it. So I can't even remember if this must be the second sock. So I was knitting this whilst we went to see. I think the cuff is also a little bit shorter. Yeah, just a fraction. That's fine. These things happen. I was knitting this whilst watching Eddie Izzard. We went to see Eddie Izzard, and I love him. And ribbed socks in the dark whilst watching someone quite funny. It's not easy to keep count. I would keep count, and then he'd say a number, and then I'd lose count. Even when he was counting in German, I lost count. So thanks, brain. So there's a couple of mistakes in it, but you know what? I couldn't be bothered to unpick it because I thought I've just knitted some memories into them. It's a ribbed sock. No one's going to be looking that closely. Mario wears Doc Martens most of the time anyway, so they'll be hidden inside boots. But yes, slightly annoyed that I've just noticed that one cuff or one body of the sock, leg of the sock, is slightly shorter than the other, but he won't know unless I tell him. So guess what? I'm not going to tell him, and nor can you. Let's be honest, you can't tell him either. Let me hang my sock blocker back up. Yeah, and then I just did a standard wedge toe. I think that's what it's called. You just decrease on either side. I don't know knitting terms anymore. I haven't told you what tea I'm drinking today. The tea I'm drinking today is Bird and Blend, of course. It's Bird and Blend's mulled cider tea. Because I've had a tea bag of it since last Christmas, and I hadn't knit it. I hadn't drank it yet. So I thought, what better than now? Right, so those are all my finished things. There's not much. So the other things that I kind of have a hoe on, but not quite. Well, first off, let's talk about the frogged thing. So I was knitting my birthday cake Gollum socks, and I was knitting the vanilla souffle sock pattern, and it got frogged. I got onto the foot of the sock and I was like, first off, I have to knit another one of these. The pattern itself isn't difficult. I think I just really needed, after finishing that huge lace shawl, I think I just really needed something mindless to knit, and a ribbed sock didn't cut it because that was me too much thinking. And this sock didn't cut it, and it just looked really small. I think next time I knit one of those sock patterns, because I will knit another one, I need to go up a needle size from what I usually do, because it just brings it in. So I frogged it, but that's okay because I will knit it into something else. Also, this is Chromatic Yarns sturdy sock in the birthday cake Gollum colourway, but it is now a messy cake. What can you do? So I needed a mindless knit, and these have knit themselves 100%. So the yarn is, I actually have a second skein of it because I bought this at Yarningham. When I vended at Yarningham this year, Fab Funky Fibres were there, and I've been stalking them on Instagram for too long. and I either missed their shop updates or am trying not to buy yarn at that time. So I visited their booth and went a bit mad and bought 3 skeins of yarn. One is a gift to my sister, one is for me, and well, 2 are for me. So they're amazing because they sell self-striping yarn in 50 grams lots, which is perfect for me, and it means that it makes it a bit more affordable, because I think maybe it's a bit different. I bought 2 of the same colour, so maybe it's a bit different, but I think I wouldn't have bought 2 full skeins of self-striping for £26, but I could justify buying 3 50-gram skeins for £13 a piece, you know? So this is Dark Side of the Moon by Fab Funky Fibres. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to touch the camera a lot because it doesn't seem to be auto-focusing right now. So yeah, this one is Dark Side of the Moon. It's their 4-ply, they don't have a name for their base. I'm going to move my phone because that's really distracting. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Mario keeps texting me. One moment, sorry. Yes. And like I say, it's 50 grams. Hello. So 212 meters. So they said that that's enough to knit a short pair of socks, but I knew that if I added contrast heel toe cuff or coordinating heel toe cuff, then I would be able to get one decently lengthed sock. Yes, because that's how English works. So I cast on the cuff in a charcoal grey, which I probably left downstairs if I'm being honest, and I knit it in its entirety and then went to start this and thought, this doesn't go. So then I remembered that I had some leftover from my vault shawl, and it's always good to just have some neutral colours in. So black is my go, can you tell? It's my go-to neutral colour. This is Rusty Ferret on her doll fingering, which is also 75-25 superwash merino nylon in her static colourway, if I remember correctly. And yeah, so I recast it on and I'm so much happier with it. I don't know why it's not auto-focusing, but it's really annoying. But Fab Funky Fibres are amazing at self-striping. Like, look at these rainbows. And I've also done the toe. I've popped in a Corner of Craft chromatic, monochromatic butterfly to mark where the heel's going to go. Thought it was fitting, and have the rest caked up, ready to go. And conveniently, all I had to do was wind off a stripe of the black before I'm back to the beginning again. So that worked out wonderfully. I cast these on, I don't know, 3 days ago, not very long ago. But I think the cuff took me a little bit, well, I mean, I knit the cuff twice, but Mario's been watching, playing The Last of Us, the first one, because PlayStation released it on PlayStation 4, and the next one's coming out. So he wanted to play through it before the next one came out. And the first little bit I didn't really get into. I did the same the first time he played through it on the PS3. I didn't really get into it, and then about halfway through I'm just like, I'm in. And it's like I'm watching a film. It's very exciting, very tense. But I knit loads of this sock watching him play one evening. And then, because it's just such a mindless knit. I don't understand how it knits so quickly when those Rage socks didn't. Well, I do know because Mario's got big feet, so I was knitting them for eons, it felt like. But yes, so I will be doing a cut-in afterthought heel. I tend to knit 4 or 5 rounds before I start decreasing because high arches rule the world. For these ones, I have cast on 64 stitches on 2.5mm needles because they're not for me. So yes. But I now just want to knit all my self-striping, but I've only got 2 more skeins, and then once they're gone I'm going to be very sad and not know what to do with my life. But they are living in my exploding TARDIS bag. You're going to notice that I kind of recycle the same project bags quite a lot. so I go through phases. I'll whip out some other ones soon. So I didn't show you this last time, but I've knit a couple of rounds on it. Not that you're going to be able to see much progress, but like I say, I wanted something mindless. Living in my Villenvines yarns bag with a little snowflake zip tag, I guess you could use it as a progress keeper as well, is my garden gate sweater. So do I have any? Yeah, they're in there. So like I say, I've only knit a couple of rounds on this. I've been making stitch markers predominantly this week. So this is a pattern by Jennifer Steingass, who's Knit Love Wool, I believe, on Instagram. I can't remember where the front and the back is. I'm going to estimate here, judging by the short rows. It's on 2 short needles, so you can't really see it, but I'm going to be separating off the sleeves not that soon, but relatively soon. But it's going well. I'm not the quickest at knitting colour work, so sometimes it feels like a bit of a slog, especially because the size I'm knitting for myself isn't, you know, they're quite long rows. But I'm kind of getting into the rhythm of it now. The first few rows, the tension's a little bit off, but that's okay. So the yarn I'm using is the Silver is Chromatic Yarns on my Merino 4-ply, which is 100% superwash merino, in the Moonbeam colourway. And then the navy bluish black colour is Old Maiden Aunt in the colourway, I can't pronounce this word, also 100% superwash merino, in the Lawn Dub colour, which I've been informed is Celtic. Can someone tell me if it's Celtic or Celtic, because I have no idea and feel like I should, and I'm a little embarrassed. Colour meaning, apparently, oh, it means blackbird. Let's just get that out. And it's got my hair all over it. It's a really dark navy blue colour, which is so pretty. So yeah, that is the current jumper I have on the go. But I need to get a wiggle on and finish it if I'm going to cast on the holiday, whatever the Christmas jumper that I want to knit. But yeah, I just need to keep going with it. The final thing I am working on right now is living in my little grey girl wizarding project bag, which I need to defuzz after my shawl's been in it. My shawl was living in it and it looks like a cat has slept on it, but I don't own a cat. So it's very fluffy inside and out, and I'm not quite sure how to tackle that. But I have cast on a spring fling shawl. I haven't got very far on it. I think I've maybe worked on it once. Spring fling shawl using a Sherpa. Is it Sherpa? I believe it's got an umlaut. Sherpa Zauberball in the Fuchsienbeet. So it's really pretty. Looks like a bit like a sunset, and it's also covered in fuzz because it's been in that bag. Ta-da! And I've just got a little corner of craft panda on it, just for funsies, because this is what I do. I'm not trying to only use my own stitch markers, but they're the ones I use the most, so I'm not doing it to show it off. That's honestly just what's on the thing. So yes, this is the label for those who maybe pronounce it in different ways or don't understand my sudden change in accent. And then if you knit it, this is what I like about these, if you knit it, it should knit up like this, but I am obviously crocheting, so the gradient would still be the same. Oh, that's not even knit, that's just it round around something. The gradient would still be the same. It's colour number 1536, and it's pronounced Fuchsienbeet, or as close to that as possible. I've got quite an English accent when I speak German. There's not much I can do about it. So that's honestly it in regards to what I've been knitting. It's not the most exciting, it's not the most amount of knitting I could have done. I'm planning to have those stripy socks finished this week, and I will take a picture and post on Instagram the finished article, because I don't think I'll be able to show you them. But I have one stash enhancement that I didn't share with you yet. So we went to Manchester to see the Danish, they were described as rock and roll metal band, and it's a perfect description, Volbeat, whom Mary and I discovered while we went to Finland, 2014, I believe. And they came on the radio and we were like, we love the song. And then, you know, I did what any normal person does when they love a song. You Google the lyrics and then find out who it is, because I can't understand Finnish. And then since then we've been obsessed. We tried to go and see them in Frankfurt, but then they sold out way too quickly for me to be able to get, by the time I realised tickets were on sale. So we managed to get tickets to Manchester. So we went to Manchester to see Volbeat, and it's very exciting. But while in Manchester, not only did we check out some nice bakeries, because that's what Mario and I do, we're the loving couple that goes and checks out bakeries, but we also stopped by Countess Ablaze just for a little bit, say hello to the Countess, and I had to treat myself. I picked up another skein that almost look exactly the same as a skein of yarn I already have. I feel like I've talked about this. I feel like I've already talked about this. I'm just going to talk about this just in case I haven't talked about it. And if you're seeing this twice, then I'm really sorry. But I just had the like, but maybe I've talked to Mario about it. Yes, so this is How to Survive, and I've definitely talked about this because I talked about how I don't have much pink in my stash. Well, this is still my latest yarn purchase. This is the problem when I podcast frequently and I don't write stuff down. I'm going to pop it back. But for those that want to know that maybe haven't watched last times, or if I didn't talk about it, it's How to Survive on Grande Merino DK. It's 100% superwash, extra fine merino. 115 grams is 225 meters, and I thought I could get a nice hat for myself and maybe my mother out of it. Right, that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about with that, because I really feel like I've talked about that before. It's either that or I've just had an intense moment of deja vu. Don't really think I have much else to tell you, other than, if you haven't already seen it, I opened a couple of knit crates, and I'm doing a giveaway for them both. So feel free to head on over to the video and watch that if you fancy it. But for now, for a short while, I'm going to be talking about what is coming in tomorrow's shop update. Let's start with stitch markers, shall we? I ask on Instagram whenever I do a stitch marker update, what stitch markers do you want to see? And I got a great response, so I've tried to do as many as I can to please people. Don't know why I'm bothering to try and get it focused on my face, because I'm going to want to get it off, the focus off my face in a second. I'm going to put them back in there, because otherwise I'm going to throw them all over the floor. So this is going to be the very last Halloween stitch marker update of this year, because Halloween is approaching, and I mean, people want spooky things year round, but some people don't. So this is the fun part. So these are all hand beaded stitch markers and progress keepers. They all come on lever back earring wires like so, which means you can use them as stitch markers on needles or progress keepers if that's more your jam. Or I've actually got one on my needle right here to mark the end of my round. So it glides over. These are 4mm needles and it fits fine. I've also used them on 6mm needles and it worked. I mean, there's only a finite amount that it would slide over. It wouldn't slide over all. They're all made from glass beads, which are super lightweight, which means they don't drag on your knitting. And I sew them together one by one using strong beading thread, so they're really durable as well, which we all like. So I have some ghosties going in with his little pumpkin friend. Very cute. The other Halloweeny ones, I don't have a whole load of Halloweeny ones. I might try and make some skulls today, but it depends how long editing this takes. I've got some little blushing pumpkins. They got little rosy cheeks, but thanks to the light, you can't really see that. And then I also have some little bat friends, and the ghost and the bat, the grey beads are kind of an iridescent, so they've got like a rainbowy finish on them, which is pretty cool. Oh, I've got achy arms already. And then I do also have some Christmassy ones, but the non-Christmassy ones, some people asked for coffee cups, so I have some of these going in. I had a request for some avocados, so they're going in. They have metallic around the outside, like the skin on the outside is metallic, which is pretty cool. And then I also have, because these sold out too quickly last time, so I've popped some more in, some flower crown sloths, and they're so cute. These always go really quickly. So then we're on to Christmassy ones. I have multiple of each going in the shop. I don't just have one of each going in the shop. So while we're on the coffee cup situation, I've got some red kind of Starbucks, but not technically on brand Starbucks cups. And the red is also a bit iridescent, so it's also got that rainbowy finish to it. For a bit of Christmas magic. Along the same vein with the iridescent-y ones, we've got some Christmassy socks, which are very cute. And while I may as well stay on track with the Christmassy socks, these have sort of sparkly pink heel toes cuffs. And while those ones aren't strictly Christmas, they're more like a contemporary Christmas vibe. I have some penguins going in with little Christmas presents, which are super cute. I have some mittens, so I've got some black and white mittens. And I've got some pale pink and cream mittens. I have the big man himself, Tiny Father Christmas, who's really cute. I like his little stubby feet. And then finally we have Snowman, all bundled up in his big old hat and scarf. Diddly-doo. And now focus back on my face. Not only do I have those stitch markers going in the shop, but I also have a crap load of yarn going in the shop. Because I was meant to put it in the shop last week, but I either didn't get around to it, or oh, my tummy just rumbled. I either didn't get around to it, or the weather was no, I tell you what, the weather was crappy and I would not have been able to take photos of it. So we had a week off the shop update. Also, none of the skeins were dry. I think it was a conglomeration of many things. Oh, the angle's shifted slightly, sorry. So first up, on 2 new bases to my shop. They're both 4-ply. Oh, my voice. I should have warmed up in the shower this morning. That's how singers warm up, I should know. I have 2 new bases. I've got a sparkly base and I have a merino base. Because people said they wanted merino and I listen and I provide. So the merino is 85% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And the sparkle is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon and 5% lurex. Ooh. So this first, that side's nicer. This first colour is Abominable Gingerbread Man. And I'm gonna have to do this to focus it. You might be able to see the sparkle. And it's kind of the neutrally cream with a bit of gingery bread colour and then speckles for sprinkles. And then it's super sparkly, but of course it doesn't show on camera. But I promise it is. And only on merino 4-ply I have Yule Cat, which is so cool. Or merino sock, should I say. Merino 4-ply is different, merino sock. So it's a light grey with blacky charcoaly colours and then red, mustard and green speckles through. Yule Cat is an Icelandic folklore whereby a cat comes and eats children that didn't receive clothes for Christmas. course it is. Of course it is. Next up we have, this is when I butcher my Icelandic pronunciation. I looked it up, but it's grilla and leppalúði. I apply a German accent to everything. So you can see the sparkles more on this one. I think it's just because the other one was so busy, you couldn't see the sparkles as much. So grilla and leppalúði are giants that wander around in Iceland at Christmas time. No, only grilla does. Leppalúði stays at home in the mountains and prepares the pot for the stew. Grilla goes out and kidnaps children that have been badly behaved, and then they eat them. They make them into a stew and eat them. Yeah, I know. So it's kind of a warmish brown colour with dark red speckles on. Not terribly Christmassy looking, but I still thought it was fun. Oh. Next up we have Merry Christmas. Christmas is like a play on words for Christmas, because if you roll a 20 on your 20-sided dice, that's called a crit or a critical hit. So Merry Christmas is a play on that. And it's a cream yarn with reds and mustards and green speckles, and there's a couple of blobs of blue that have rocked up in there too, which is quite nice. And then this is the sparkle, obviously. Next up we have Sugar Plum Fay, which is obviously a play on words of Sugar Plum Fairy from the Nutcracker, which is notoriously Christmassy. And it's just this really beautiful delicate pink colour, which I absolutely love. And that one I only have on the merino sock. Next up we have Jolly Red Wizard, which is inspired by Father Christmas, and his gold buckle and his black boots and maybe soot covered face, and then obviously the cream is for his hair and beard, and then the red for his Father Christmas suit. I've got that on both sparkle and merino sock as well, and I just love these speckles. Look at them. Oh my goodness. Once again, not traditionally Christmassy in colour, but still fun. Krampus, I have one here. Oh god, I'm going to ruin my pile. Okay, we're fine. Krampus I also have on merino 4-ply and sparkle. Krampus I had last year, as I did Merry Christmas. It's a gorgeous grey base with red and green. I think I added some brown speckles if I remember correctly. Super cool, bit more subtle, Christmassy, still fun. Then finally we have Forest of Neverwinter, which is just a semi-solid green colour that I think will go with many, my tummy is rumbling so much, will go with many different skeins. That one I've only got a merino sock, so I don't know why I've picked up a sparkle to go with it. But you see what I mean? Where is this one? Here. Just as a bit of contrast. Then finally, not Christmassy, but I promised to bring it to the shop, I have Birthday Cake Gollum, which is a neutral colour that has some sort of taupey cake colour through it. That's not taupe at all, but you know what I mean. Beigey cake colour, and then speckles to indicate cake sprinkles. And I'm trying to up my photography game, so if you've noticed a difference, let me know once they've been posted. And I think that's all of them. That will be going in the shop. So my shop is thecornerofcraft.co.uk. Link can be found in the description box below. And that shop update is at 4 PM BST on Saturday the 19th of October. So I need to get that shop update ready to go, photograph some things, edit some photos. Good times. That's what today's task is. I just have a mock driving test because I've booked in my driving test. Oh, my tummy's rumbling so much. It's only 10:30, chill out. But yes, I have a mock driving test today, so that's quite exciting. Other than that, we've just been going mad with wedding prep and whatnot. We sorted a seating plan and then we've got one baby too many, so now we have to add in a whole new table, but that's fine. Just rejigging a few people around. Anyway, my camera battery's been flashing at me for a long time, so I'd better go. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. I post a new video semi-regularly. Feel free to follow me on social media. Links can all be found in the description box below. And yes, let me know what you've been working on. I really enjoyed reading on my last video what you've all been working on and what you're knitting, because I'm really nosy and like to discover new patterns, and if a pattern sounds cool, I give it a Google or search on Ravelry and find out what it is and then add it to my favourites or whatever. Oh, it's all very exciting. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Having you here means the absolute world to me. And with all that being said, I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!